What's up, guys? This is Butcher. In this episode, I'm going to talk to Shea. And first of all, he's just going to introduce himself real quick and tell him about his Dota career and Twitch channel and everything. So, what's up, Shea?
Hi, everyone. My name is Shea. In-game tag, Shea Doctor. That was a little awkward handoff, but I'll take it. Former member of the Better Justice League. You might have been able to see us in some Dota Regions tournaments. I know we finished fourth place this season. We also in the main event for SIVO. We faced teams like Fire Leviathan. Played some really strong teams like Boral. Not Today. Yes, against Smash Sama, and even played against Sumail and before he became famous. So I've had, needless to say, quite a bit of competitive experience. Was on a team with Banana Slam Jamma, who is now considered one of the best NA carries right now. So we'll end up seeing.
He's a dick, man. He's good, but he's a dick.
Yeah, that's kind of how good people are sometimes. Anyways, I do run a Twitch stream. You can follow it at twitch.tv/SHEADR.
Links are in the description, guys, if you want to check them out.
Yeah, you can watch some of my streams there. You watch some of the scrims I do. Usually most of my scrims are against at least 5K or above teams. More than often, you'll probably see some pretty famous names in there, like 6K or 7K players. So
yeah, so basically, Shea is very, very high level. He plays offlane for his team. And we've been playing Dota for quite a while, so we just you might have seen in the previous videos, highlight videos, he's like the person that I like to put in the videos that feeds, and then I show up and clean up the mess. So that's about it. And to get on with the main topic of the video, this is gonna be an interview with Shea, and recently he's been playing Offlane Pudge for his team in competitive Dota. And I'm just going to ask some questions, and he's going to give us some insight on the biggest differences and the different concepts of it. Okay, so let's get started. First question, what is the biggest difference between Offlane Pudge and Mid Pudge, in your opinion?
Well, the way I look at it, Pudge is a hero I think that can do a lot with just levels and not a whole lot of farm. If you get Tranquils, maybe a Soul Ring or a bottle if you've had a good time, as long as you're level 7, you can make a ton of space around the map. You don't necessarily have to be in lane. It's just the threat of you landing that one hook killing it's really hard to fight mid. He's a hero that and you want your mid laner to have a lot of farm, or at least be a hero that can do a lot with farm.
Right.
And Pudge is a mid hero. He can do a lot with some farm, but I think there are a lot better heroes for it.
Yeah, Pudge lacks teamfight.
It's true. So yeah, being off the map just creates a constant easiness. He's really good for safe initiations. What I mean by that is, if you don't hit the hook, it's not like you jump in for an RP and miss everyone, or jump in with a Tide Ravage and miss everyone, and you're kind of fucked. If you miss the hook, you can just kind of say, okay, 10, 14 seconds here, we're going to regroup, try again.
Definitely.
And not to mention, he's a hero that, in the offlane, he keeps the supports there. He keeps the supports honest. If you land that level 1, if you get that quick level 2, land a level 1 hook into the tower, all of a sudden that support almost dies, or he's out of regen, and he's not as likely to try to man up on you. For any fellow offlaners, I know you've played against that Skywrath who just will constantly throw out his Q at you, just right-click you. If you get one good hook on him into the tower and kill him, yeah, that guy, he's not going to be coming near you. In fact, he's going to be playing like a little bit of a bitch.
Right. What are your other offlane heroes? Your favorite offlane heroes?
Some of my notable ones. I'm pretty well respected for my Tide Hunter. My Clockwork also gets a special mention in that region, as well as Magnus. Magnus is a hero I don't get to do too often, just because he's a really greedy offlaner.
And of course, Mirana, right?
Yes, but Mirana fell out of the meta, so I don't get to play Mirana ever.
Okay, well, I'm not gonna ask in this video, okay. And what separates Pudge compared to these heroes? What are the disadvantages and advantages of Pudge offlane versus those heroes that you just listed?
Okay, I'm gonna say Pudge straight advantages. Actually, no, that's not true. But for the most part, he's relatively a safe pick. Let me rephrase that. He's a safe pick when he's on the Radiant. Radiant Pudge is far superior than Dire Offlane Pudge. And the reason for that is, from the Radiant side, you can actually hook that big creep camp. When your creep wave is at your tower, It doesn't have to be anything more than just a level 1 hook. You hook any creep will work. You hook it in, you can immediately pull that side camp.
Right, so you can control the lane. Gotcha.
Yes.
Right. Why did your team start picking Offlane Pudge? Did you just tell them, I know this guy at ButcherTV and he plays Pudge and I want to play Pudge too, so I'm going to pick him a lot? Is that what happened?
No, not quite. We were looking to practice some Medusa, more of those like safe late game carries. And we were looking for an offlaner that would... a lot of the popular offlaners have been banned out, and I think this was for the amateur Dota 2 league we were playing in. And I just suggested the Pudge as a good... It would be hard to break a high ground defense with Pudge. And from there we picked him, and we found out that it's extremely hard to break high ground with a Pudge on the defense. Especially if he's got a Blink Dagger or Force Staff. He can just be one side of the tower that you're trying to push, and all of a sudden he blinks over their side, throws up the hook, maybe gets the carry that's trying to hit the tower, and you've got a forced initiation, and if you have enough burst damage on your team, all of a sudden it's a 4v5 fight, or they just completely back off, and that push has been completely denied.
That makes sense. And what is the main difference in your opinion? You play competitive games and you play pub games. So, I mean, you practice in pub games, you play solo, you play competitive. What do you think is the main difference for the Pudge offlane?
In pub games, there's, like I would say, probably half the time there's a jungler because someone doesn't want to play other support. So when you're playing pubs, you run into just the one support and the carry. And oftentimes that one support had to just buy courier and wards, so he's just got like a tango and a clarity at best. He's got no regen, so if you land that first hook, he's pretty much out of the game. Then all of a sudden, you can kind of bully your lane around.
Yeah.
In competitive Dota, there's almost more than likely going to be that second lane support. The reason they do that is mainly just to secure the safe lane farm. You can still get that initial hook onto a support and drag him into the tower. It's just you're not going to be able to have that same bully effect because you will always have that secondary support. Which is why it's really important to get a lane ward up. You don't necessarily have to block the pull camp, but at least being able to see when that other support is outside the lane, you know you can finally be a little bit more aggressive.
Okay. And I'm speaking, like, I played Pudge offlane a couple times. I mostly played Mid Pudge, but I played Offlane Pudge a couple times, and the thing that I noticed the most is you have those good games sometimes where you, like, as you mentioned, you hook other heroes onto tower range and then you kill them, and that's when they make a mistake, right? It's their fault, right? Most of the time when you hook them into the tower, it's just their carelessness. But there are games where you completely get shut down, your ward maybe gets de-warded or something, and they have good heroes and they don't make the mistakes, and you try to rotate and you can't, like, you don't really get much kills or whatever. And the thing that I noticed is if you don't get a good start as Pudge, like in the first 10 minutes, you can have an awful Pudge game, right?
This is true.
And then he's just, after 10 minutes, if you don't make a bunch of plays and you're like level 6 and the opponents are like level 8 to 10, then you're like completely much fucked. What are you doing next?
That's not necessarily true. I will say this. I think at level 7, Pudge is about as strong as he's going to get throughout the entire game, skill-wise. His skills just kind of get a little bit better from there on in, but from more or less, he doesn't offer you any much more from level 7 than he does level 25 as far as his skills go. He might get the items to kind of land the hooks more efficiently, but he'll still have that December that goes through BKB at any point in the game. He's still got that 1400 or a little bit more of a 1400 range hook, because technically, in case you guys didn't know,
it's a little bit more than 1400 because the hook itself has a radius.
Yes. Some people don't know that.
Dude, no. That's actually, I mean, that's how you land most of the hooks. That people just don't expect it, and you kind of hack it. Like, I mean, because the creeps have such a low area that they take up, and the heroes have such more area, so you can kind of like, I mean, those kind of hooks that don't seem to land sometimes.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that's definitely something I think a lot of people underestimate is that hook
Same
range.
Thing with the arrow, Marana arrow. It has a ridiculous hitbox. Like it can go past you and it'll still hit you, kinda, if you're TPing in or something.
For any Pudge that's having a hard time, if you're doing competitively, I suggest something that we like to do is run the Earthshaker. Not only is it really good, also defensive support, makes a high ground defense extremely potent, but you can block the offlane creep wave with just one fissure, and it will slow the creep wave enough with just so that the enemy wave is just outside your tower. So it almost guarantees you that you can get level 2. If you just aggro the creeps into your tower, you've already started off with a level 2. Level 2 Pudge can actually make plays because he has that additional slow.
Right.
So if you have a smoke on you, or you have one of your supports rotate and grab a smoke, if you rotate mid, you can get like a solo kill like with just you in the mid.
And
they won't expect it as much because if they pulled well enough, you're going to be just not in the lane anyways.
Right, and the recent buff to the Pudge hook at level 1, it's much, much longer. It's like
that is a big reason why.
That's one of the reasons that Pudge Offlane is now a viable pick, because he's good at early game.
Nighttime, also though, I will say this: nighttime is your best friend as Pudge. Learn to know like where the creeps and heroes are going to see at nighttime. At nighttime is like it's the scariest time. It's like he's almost like a night stalker where you can't go out too far because you can't see him, and all of a sudden, bam, from the trees.
Yeah. Except when you're playing against a Slark or something that has night vision. So I haven't made a video about this before, but I'm gonna make a video about this in the future about night vision and list all the heroes that do have it and the heroes that don't have it. But that's a different topic. What's your preferred build for Offlane Pudge? You mentioned that you do Tranquil Boots, Soul Ring, Blink Dagger, something like that, and the thought process of an Offlane Pudge, you're not gonna have a lot of money. Like even if you do get kills, you're not gonna have a lot of money. So Tranquil Boots is pretty much one of the only options.
Yes. For a while I experimented with doing phase boots just because you can kind of, if you smoke up, you can just run through the creep wave to get faster and just use your ult. So that way you're not relying so much on your hook initiation. But at the end of the day, the Tranquil Boots, you need the armor. Like, that armor is huge for a hero that has no armor. And the regen, while you're regenning off the map lane, lets you just kind of have more sustainability.
Yeah, and Rot doesn't disable the Tranquil Boots.
That is true.
Cool, yeah. And also, the Tranquil Boots are the cheapest option by far, so, I mean, yeah.
But for any Offlane Pudgers out there, the starting build I always do 99% of the time is Boots, Tango, Clarity. The main reason is when you're in lane, you're not looking to trade hits. You're not looking to try to like soak up or just trade right clicks with the supports. That's not what you're trying to do. You want to have that extra clarity so you can be able to throw out that hook or two and always kind of keep that constant fear with them. That Boots is so you can kind of run up right when a creep's about to die and then run back. You want to take as least amount of damage as possible because, like you mentioned before, you're relatively poor as a Pudge. Once you get, usually I will try to go bottle over the Soul Ring. If I'm having an absolutely hard time in the game, I will go Soul Ring just because it's an easier build-up than the bottle. But I think bottle is just stronger overall just because of all the runes you can get. You can get an Invis rune, a Haste rune. Haste rune Pudge is like terrifying.
Okay. And let's talk about opponent heroes. So what are some of the worst heroes that you can lane against this Pudge? Like in the drafting phase, your thought process as a team, like they picked something, so I need to pick Pudge. They picked something, so I can't pick Pudge. Go into that a little bit.
Okay, so Lich and ES, if you ever see those two combined together, it's really tough. Earthshaker himself is really unforgiving against Pudge. If the other support if they do a good enough job of pulling the wave back, you can't go forward because all Earthshaker has to do is just simply Fisher block you out. Pudge has no way of escaping, so it's really hard to play against it.
Earthshaker is good against any hero like that, any melee offlane. So
yeah, but I mean he's got such a long initiation that it's tough. A lot of heroes with blinks like Anti-Mage. Quap's not as difficult just because for blink animation you can kind of get away with it, but Anti-Mage, when I see that, you're guaranteed you're going to have to get Blink Dagger at some point as Pudge, and sometimes it's very hard to do that. You don't have really much of a presence or a threat onto that Anti-Mage because if you do hook him in, he just blinks away. Heroes like Lifestealer are pretty annoying, but they're not the worst thing. Omni Knight, actually, I will give a shout out to because if you hook someone in and he just nukes or does the heal, it just pretty much devastates you as a Pudge. And if he throws on the repel, then all of a sudden all of the damage you could have done is completely for naught, and you've just completely screwed yourself.
Yeah, in my experience, any tanky hero against Pudge is a bad idea for Pudge. Like, if you're playing against a Tiny or an Omni Knight, like you said before, or even a Troll Warlord, like Troll Warlord is like one of the worst, even if you hook them under tower before level 6, they can still kill you, right? So, as Pudge, you want to generally lane against squishy heroes, as you mentioned before, Skyrim.
Actually, I will say this, though. If you're equal levels with a Troll, equal levels in farm, if you hook him under tower early game, you'll kill him.
No,
it's when that Troll gets...
I don't think so.
when he gets like that third point into his Q, when he can just maybe it's not even third point of Q.
No. I played against troll mid at least 30 times, and before level 6, if you're full HP, well, usually you're not full HP.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I should have said you need to have your ult in order to kill him.
Yeah. If you have your ult, then yeah. But before you have your ult, some heroes are pretty much impossible to kill as a Pudge. So even sometimes, like, if you're going up against a Tiny or something, and he's full HP and you're like kind of 3/4 HP, don't try to hook him under tower just because to hook him under tower you think you didn't kill him. That kind of thing.
Yeah, but the thing about like competitive Pudge is usually when you're doing most of your hook initiations, you have another hero nearby. These are planned hooks; they're not necessarily kind of just doing it for your own like kills and trying to get.
It's not the laning phase; it's more of a gank. Yeah. And that's one of the biggest differences. In competitive Dota, there's less luck and less like actual like show offness in competitive gameplay compared to pubs, because in competitive you have your team, so most of the time you would rather take 100% hit hook. So if somebody's gonna stun and set it up for you, and then you land the hook, rather than you just kind of like landing the hook just off of your skill or trying to like make a play or something. So that's one of the biggest differences that I want to mention. Okay. Any comments on that?
Support Morphling. I'll give a special shout out to him with Pudge. I don't know if you guys have ever seen it. They've been running it in NEL quite a bit. I haven't really seen it too much at the pro level though. But with his stun, he not only pushes like the target away a bit, so it kind of separates him, so you can get a clear line of sight for your hook. But when maxed out, it's a 4 second stun.
Yeah.
Like, it's impossible to miss that hook.
I played against Morphling a couple of times, but I mean, it's been in pub, so I haven't done it in competitive, but is it a rising thing, like, in competitive Dota?
It's yes and no. Like, some teams are known for running of it, but I wouldn't say it's, like, necessarily a rising thing. It's more of just, it's certain teams that run it. Same thing with the Offlane Pudge. There are certain teams that will run an Offlane Pudge, but for the most part, most people won't touch it just because Pudge isn't technically 100% reliable. You're basing a lot on a skill that is more or less just the player's ability to land his hook.
Right. Okay. Have you ever... So we're talking about offlane Pudge. Have you ever done Pudge in dual lanes offlane or even offensive tri-lanes? Because I've played Pudge offensive tri-lanes a couple of times, and you can really punish... jungle opponent heroes if you're running like tri-lane Pudge.
Yeah. It all just depends on the heroes that are picked. If it's usually most of the time in competitive Dota you don't want to run a tri-lane with a Pudge, because if you've done that, that means they've picked something so greedy that you almost felt pressured into having to punish it. And at that point, if they have a jungler like that, you might as well let the Pudge get solo XP, because the faster he gets his levels, the faster he's going to be more relevant to the game.
Yeah.
I've done the dual lanes a bit, like Lich Pudge or...
Techie's Pudge, man.
Yes, I've done Techie's Pudge. Not
it's like the best
pubs,
feeling ever. When you hook somebody into mines, you just blow the fuck up. Like, it's like the best.
Oh god, seriously, it is.
Yeah.
I don't think Pudge is the greatest dual lane or tri lane, just because he needs levels badly.
That makes sense.
I think Lich is the only exception to that, because Lich can guarantee him some levels just with the sacrifice and constantly keeping that creep wave equilibrium near his tower. There might be some teams that might do it. I'm just not a big fan of Pudge with a partner.
Okay, before we get to the final question, I just want to make a couple of remarks. The one thing that is for sure certain that you do want to do, whether you're playing like at any level, Pudge offlane or Pudge mid, you need to be aggressive, right? You need to try to like make ganks. You need to always move around the map. You need to always have wards, right? So you got to take advantage of all of that. You can't be passive when you play Pudge, because the first 20 minutes of the game is pretty much your bread and butter. So you got to take advantage of that. So if you're playing Pudge, if you're just starting out as Pudge, if you play Pudge a couple of times, just try to be as aggressive as possible and find that boundary of what you can and can't do in the games that you're playing. So for example, if you're like 100 HP but full mana, stick around during a team fight and try to make some plays.
Absolutely.
Don't just use whatever resources you have, and don't just automatically go back to base if you have low HP, as I said before,
Pudge can pick off those weak supports
Right.
that are just trying to escape. I mean, you don't. All you have to do is hook in the ult, and you've done more than enough damage to kill most people. And Offlane Pudge, like, it's alright if you miss some of your hooks on their supports. You want to make sure that they at least fear you. If you don't throw out that hook, they just might start to get a little too aggressive. And then if you do throw the hook and miss, all of a sudden you might just die in that. You want to make sure that they always have that doubt, like,
yeah, definitely.
you know,
if you never play aggressive, first of all, yeah, the opponent's the fear of Pudge hooking you is greater than the actual damage of the Pudge hooking you. Actually, like during the game, if Pudge is off the map, then the support or everybody just stops farming. Everybody's scared, so they lose out on that farm, and that's the basic concept of why Pudge or most ganking heroes like that are so like terrifying or so effective in the game. So if you're never aggressive, you're never gonna know what you can and can't do, basically. Okay, and to get on with the final question, so as a basic general like summary, I guess, what are the important factors? Like if you're playing in a pub, right, and you're just regular player, and you're trying to play Offlane Pudge, or just starting Offlane Pudge, what are the basic tips? Like, what is the best advice that you would give?
my best advice is knowing when supports are more likely to leave the lane. They're usually going to, if you notice they have a jungler and that one support's going to try in your or let's say your ward, you never get a lane ward or a pull camp ward up. You want to know those timings for when the support's going to go try to pull the wave, when he might go try to contest that rune, whichever rune you're closest to. Those are opportunities when, as Pudge, you can sneak forward, pull that creep aggro back, and get your XP. The biggest thing also is understanding common ward spots in vision, just vision itself. Being a successful like Pudge,
in general, like, not even offlane mid, vision is just important for
This is why I stress nighttime out a lot, because once that first nighttime hits, unless you're having a great time up top, I suggest you go like almost always. I'll make a rotation mid or have a TP and try to go to the safe lane. Try to get a pick off there. Just make sure, because once that nighttime hits, like the vision just all of a sudden vanishes, and it's like your best chance to get someone, catch them off guard. I cannot ever stress that enough. The other thing is like once you get your level 7, if the supports aren't busy trying to de-ward, don't be afraid to spend a couple hundred extra gold and buy some sentries yourselves to de-ward. Keeping lack of vision is crucial. Like this goes for any Pudge player at all. Like the less they can see you on the map, the more they have to play to your strengths.
Yeah. Oh,
I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you have wards basically control the Pudge. If the opponent dewards all your wards, you're pretty much fucked. If you deward all their wards, Pudge pretty much like has a very good time. So it's that warding and rotations is it's 90% of the gameplay, I would say, for any Pudge. Like the skill is there where you could make plays anytime, but the effectiveness is in the rotations and the wards, right?
Yeah. Yeah, probably the last point I would say, the last factor I would say is being patient. Like a lot of times, I know people like will get a little impatient and will throw out that early hook. They're not sure like if the person's going to come back to farm the creep wave.
Yeah, and Pudge has very low mana.
Yeah,
so
I think yeah,
or have clarity.
Yeah, it's almost like you play Pudge all the time.
Yeah, man, almost, dude. All right, guys. This has been pretty much a long time, so I'm gonna have to wrap this up. But
we can cut out some of the bullshit.
It's fine, man. This is fucking raw, bro. I'm uploading all of it.
This is raw.
Yeah, man.
Fucking savage, son.
Okay, guys. So this is the first video of its kind. I mean, this is the first interview I've done. This is completely new. Give me your feedback in the comment section below. Like, tell me what you think about it. If I should make more videos like this. Just general feedback if you like it or don't like it, and any advice on what I could do better or worse. Better in the next videos. And I'm gonna link everything, all the links of the Twitch, his profile, everything in the comments in the fucking section below, whatever. And before we're out, Shea, any last words?
No. Good luck fishing out there, boys.
Easy game, easy life.